I think all of our stories are relatable and significant in their own ways. I came from a split-parent home, single-parent home. I know a lot of you in this room know what that feels like. Maybe you're going through it right now in your own home and you are the split parent. Maybe you knew how it felt growing up when you were in the middle between split parents. But everybody in this room knows at some point in their life they've been in the middle. The middle friend, the middle sibling, the middle between two fighting parents, the middle. The middle is a lonely, emotional place, okay? I grew up there. I was born in the middle. I had to deal with mom's emotions, dad's emotions my entire life, and then just try to deal with my own emotions. The problem was, nobody taught me how to do that. I went to school, I learned math, social studies, science, stuff like that, but nobody taught me how to be happy. Nobody taught me how to manage my mind or manage my emotions, so I just didn't manage them at all. I just suppressed them. And we know suppressed emotions over time it becomes depression. By the time I was 14, 15 years old, I was already depressed. I had severe anxiety. As a kid, I couldn't even look people in the eyes to order my own food at restaurants. I just lived looking at the ground. I was so anxious all the time. Panic attacks all the time, social anxiety, insecurities, the list goes on and on and on. But despite all of my feelings, disorders, I came to school every single day, big old smile on my face. Now outside it looked like everything was perfect, like everything was okay. Nobody knew what I was going through. Outside perfect, inside different person, right? On the inside, felt like I was about to break. And I did have some close friends that asked me like every single day if I was okay because they could tell something was wrong. They could see through the fake smile. But I'd tell them the same thing that I hear from thousands of students a year when I ask them if they're okay. They tell me that they're fine, they're just tired. You know why we use that excuse? I think it's because it's half true, and we don't want to be liars, look like liars, or feel like liars, right? And you are tired. I know you're tired. Some of you are tired of pretending that you're okay. Some of you are tired of being tired, and some of you are tired because you're not sleeping, but what's keeping you up at night? It's deeper than I'm just tired. But asking deeper questions to get deeper answers means that you have to be vulnerable, and that's really hard. So I put on the fake smile because it made me feel safe and strong too. And I went on my way day after day after day until finally, October 27, 2011, I remember the exact day. Now, if you grew up here in Midland or you've been here a while, you remember in 2011, 2012, we had a really high suicide rate those years. In 1 month, 4 students died by suicide in Midland, Texas, and surrounding areas. One of them was a friend of mine. That night, I got a call from my best friend. He was crying so hard I couldn't understand him. I sat on the phone with him 10, 15 minutes until he finally caught his breath and calmed down enough to tell me that one of those students was his girlfriend. Now, I was 15 years old, so I didn't really know what to say. And to be honest with you, I was scared of what he was going to do. I didn't want to lose my best friend. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. The only thing that I knew was music. And that might sound like a weird answer to some of you. But I can see by the look on some of your faces that some of you get it. Some of you know when you're going through something in life, what do? You turn on your favorite song. You listen to your favorite artist. And then you relate to that artist through your feelings, and then you don't feel so alone in your feelings, and it makes you feel better. And that's why they say music's like medicine. So that night when my friend called me, music was my solution. I told my friend, come over to the house tomorrow, let's put together a song, and then we'll take the songs to the school systems, and we'll rap it to the kids. And we'll let them know that they're not alone in their feelings. And the reason why I had that idea was because his girlfriend reminded me of me. To me, she was the happy girl, the go-lucky girl, the cool girl, the tough girl, the class clown. She was the one that would greet you at the door with a smile. She was the one that always made us smile. So that day, when I heard what happened to her, I realized I wasn't the only one wearing this fake smile. I realized that she wore it so well that nobody even noticed her. So I immediately thought about students all over. I was like, how many other people are wearing this fake smile? And how long until it's too late for them too? So with a sense of urgency the next day, me and my friend, we got together, we wrote a song that we called Life Lessons. I remember not really knowing what to say in the song, because it wasn't about me. But I put myself in her position, and I knew how it felt to hide behind a fake smile. So I just put my emotions into my music. I remember I wrote the song in 10, 15 minutes. I felt good about the song. It was time to release it, time to go to the schools. And then all of a sudden, I got a case of the what ifs. I don't know if y'all ever had this before, but it seems like every single time I got close to telling somebody the truth, telling somebody how I felt, it came with a bunch of questions. What if nobody likes me? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not smart enough? What if this? What if that? And eventually all those spiraling self-doubts, they made me so insecure that I just quit. Right there on the spot. I looked over at my friend and I said, bro, I can't do this. I was like, I'm the shy kid. And in that moment, I labeled myself the shy kid. And I learned something really important right there. I realized that people can say whatever they want to say about you. But whatever you say about you, that's what becomes true to you. I felt it. It felt heavy. That label was heavy. I labeled myself the shy kid. And when you label yourself, you limit yourself. I almost look at a label like it's a lid on top of that box that you're putting yourself in. I labeled myself the shy kid. Meant I had to go back to the back of the class, suffer in silence by myself, and tell nobody how I felt. And the crazy part was, I was pretty used to doing that. I was pretty comfortable doing that. I also learned that day that we get comfortable in our dysfunctions. We get comfortable being complacent, living in chaos. We get comfortable in things that aren't good for us. That's what the comfort zone is, really. I mean, every time you try to step outside your comfort zone and grow, evolve, there's this thing called the fear barrier. It's when fear hits, you freeze up and you fall back to whatever's comfortable. Go back to your old ways, old habits, old friend groups, whatever it is. I went back to being the shy kid. But as soon as I said that, I saw the look of defeat on my friend's face. And I realized I didn't just quit on me, I quit on him. And I realized this is the darkest moment of our lives. And this idea that I had to make a difference, that was the light at the end of the tunnel that was giving us hope. So when I quit, we just lost hope. I mean, he didn't even say anything to me. He just put his head down because that's how disappointed he was. So I put my head down because I was disappointed. And we sat there in the studio in silence, 10, 15 minutes. He doesn't say a word to me. So I just pressed play on the song, and I had the song playing on loop, and I put my head back down. Another 10 minutes goes by. He's still not saying anything to me. And then all of a sudden, there's this random knock at my studio door. So I go and I answer the door, and there's this lady that I've never seen before. To this day, I don't even know her name. I don't know why she was there. The only answer that I have to this story is God. It had to happen. She was late. It was like 9 o'clock at night. She was just walking by the studio. She was headed to her friend's house. She stops, knocks on the door, and says that she could hear the music from outside. So I was like, I'm sorry, is it too loud? You need me to turn it down? And she goes, no, actually, I was going to see if I could come in and listen to your song. So at this point, I'd already given up on myself and the song, so I didn't really care. I was like, fine, come in. You know, stranger danger. Probably should have said no. But I had this gut feeling that I should, so I did. I let her in. She comes. She sits at the back of the room. Me and my friend are up at the studio table. I press play on the song, and I just put my head back down. About halfway through the song, I hear the door close behind me. So I turn around, and this lady's gone. She left in the middle of the song. Now, I was an insecure high school kid, so my friend, he taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, bro, the song must be horrible. And I was like, what? And he goes, she couldn't even finish it. And I was like, that's it. Confirmation of all the what ifs. What if I'm not good enough? I'm like, I quit. For reals this time, I turned off the computer, I shut off the lights, I grabbed my bag. I'm literally walking out my studio door to go home. I open the door, and there she was. Same lady, but this time she had tears running down her face. And she had a ring in her hand. So it turns out she went out to her car to grab a ring that she wanted to give to me. So she hands me this ring. I look down at it, and on the side in big bold letters, it says, hope. Now, that might not sound crazy to you all because you know hope's on a lot of jewelry. But remember what I said. Me and my friend, we had just lost hope. We needed hope. So weirdly, like, this made sense to me. I didn't know what to say. I remember I got chills. I got goosebumps, and I just looked at the ground. She starts to cry, and she puts her hand on my shoulder, and she goes, I know this is crazy. She said, I know you don't know me. She said, I just came into town here in Midland to come comfort one of my friends who lost her son to suicide. He was one of those 4 students. She said, I left my job short notice to come be with my friend. My boss called me on the way here. He didn't understand, so he fired me. She said, I just lost my job. And she said, you're not going to believe this, but just the other day, my grandmother passed away. She's crying, and she's like, it feels like I'm losing everything. Losing everyone that I have, everyone that I love. And then she took a deep breath, and she paused, and she goes, but that's okay. And when I heard her say that, I was looking at the ground, and that didn't really register with me. That didn't make sense. So I look up, and I go, what do you mean that's okay? And she looks at me dead in the eyes, and she goes, that's okay, because your song right there just gave me hope. She goes, I believe that's all we need. All we need is hope. And that right there actually became the hook of the song. He goes, all we need is hope. All we need is help. All we really need is someone just to care about someone else. Is that too much to want? Is that too much to ask? We could make a bright future from a really dark past. Growing up as a kid, I'd have never thought of this. Living in a small town, feeling like I don't exist. I'm not my mama's favorite. I'm not my daddy's either. Every day I'm facing hate, and it don't stop to take a breather. Like, come on, I'm a kid. I got time before I grow up. We've seen a lot of bad, but there's more than what we know of. You've been there, no, you haven't. We live lives you can't imagine. Seeing friends lose their lives to this thing called suicide. But all we need is hope. All we need is help. All we really need is someone just to care about someone else. And personally, I believe that because in that moment, I realized what real hope is. When I was a kid, I thought hope was like a wish. I thought it was what you said to somebody when you didn't know what to say. And I'm not going around the country telling kids, hey, I hope you graduate. No, it's deeper than that. In that moment, I realized that real life hope, it's you, it's me, we are hope. It's through the things in life that you go through that make you who you are. They build your character. And then when you tell people the truth, and the truth, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just what you're going through and what you've gone through. It also includes how you're feeling and how you're dealing with it. Because we as human beings, we relate to each other through our feelings. If you're waiting for somebody to be in the exact same circumstances you before you tell them the truth, then you're going to be waiting a really long time. But I learned, because I wrote that song about my feelings, I learned that if you talk about your feelings, then you can connect to anybody, at any time, in any circumstance or situation. Even though we're different, we're all connected. And I also realized that day that if you can overcome that fear barrier in your life that's stopping you from talking about how you feel and how you're dealing with life, that's stopping you from telling your truth, then even the deepest, darkest moments in each and every one of our lives, it has the potential to one day become that light at the end of the tunnel for somebody else.